Hello, friends. If you are someone who loves learning English, reading world news, and enjoying strange but funny stories, then welcome to Chasing English. Here, we learn together every day. You can practice reading, listening, shadowing, and reflex skills with us. Step by step, your English will grow stronger and more natural. Today, let's begin a very special story. It is about the different political ideas in the world. Yes, you heard that right. We will learn them in a light, simple, and funny way. Don't worry, this is not a heavy school lesson. It is a story that will make you smile while you understand how people in history thought about power, freedom, and life. Long ago, almost every country followed absolute monarchy. That means the king was the head of the land. The king had all the power. People believed the king was the son of heaven, almost like a father to everyone. If the king liked something, he could take it. If he wanted your land, he got it. If he wanted someone's wife, he could bring her into the palace. Nobody dared to say no. People had to bow down and even feel honored when the king noticed them. But of course, this way of ruling could not last forever. A country cannot grow if only one person makes every decision. Over time, this system slowly changed. Some countries today still have kings, like Thailand, but now kings are mostly symbolic. The real power is in the hands of laws and governments. We call that constitutional monarchy. And when absolute kings began to disappear, new political ideas started to appear. Some people believed in capitalism, some believed in communism, others wanted freedom for the individual, and some wanted the nation above all. Each idea has its own story, its own funny side, and its own problems. So in the next parts, let's go together and see. What is capitalism? Why did Karl Marx bring up communism? What about anarchism, fascism, or conservatism? And how do these ideas touch our daily lives? This is just the beginning, friends. Let's walk slowly and learn step by step in the easiest English possible. After kings began to lose power, people started to ask, how should a country work? Who should decide what is fair? The first big idea was capitalism. Capitalism means people can own things for themselves. If you have a cow, you can keep the cow, sell the cow, or eat the cow. If you have land, you can grow rice, or you can leave it empty. Nobody can tell you what to do with your property. Sounds nice, right? But 200, 300 years ago, capitalism was not so fair. Yes, people had freedom in theory, but in reality, rich landowners had too much power. Imagine this. You have a small farm. A rich man wants to buy it. You say, no, this is my family farm. But the rich man buys all the land around you. Suddenly you have no road, no water, no electricity. You must sell your farm or you cannot live. Workers also had a very hard life. You were free to work or not to work, but if you didn't work, you would starve. Bosses forced people to work 12 hours every day, even on weekends. If you said, I want to work only 8 hours, the boss replied, no. Work 12 hours or leave. But where could you go? You had no land, no other job, no support, so you had no choice. You worked until your body was weak and tired. Workers created value. For example, they made goods worth 10 coins, but the boss only paid them 1 coin. The boss kept 9 coins as profit. It was unfair. Workers were like slaves, even though people said they were free. One man, Karl Marx, saw this problem. He said, workers are the real creators of wealth. If 1,000 workers produce 10,000 coins, why do they only receive 1,000 coins? That is injustice. So Marx created the idea of communism. In communism, the government owns the land, the factories, and the machines. Everyone works together. At the end, the government divides the results equally. For example, workers create 10,000 coins. The government uses 2,000 coins for management. 8,000 coins remain. Each worker receives 8 coins instead of 1. Life is better, more equal, and more fair. This idea sounded beautiful, but soon people saw a problem. If everyone gets the same reward, lazy people and hardworking people are equal. Why work harder if you get the same as everyone else? Slowly, many people stopped trying. The economy did not grow, and life became difficult again. So, friends, both capitalism and communism had good points and bad points. One gave freedom but also big unfairness. The other gave equality but killed motivation. And this was not the end. New ideas continued to appear as people searched for balance. As time passed, workers became very tired of unfair treatment. One worker alone could not fight the boss. But when millions of workers joined together, they became strong. Workers started to strike. That means they stopped working. Imagine a factory with 1,000 workers. If one worker says, "I quit," the boss doesn't care. But if all 1,000 workers say we stop, the factory closes. The boss loses money. So, finally, bosses had to listen. They agreed to new rules. Work only 8 hours a day. Have weekends off. Get better pay. Later, workers created unions. A union is a group of workers that speaks for everyone. Unions told the government, we need laws to protect workers. And slowly, new laws were made. Women who have babies can rest with pay. Workers must have safe places to work. Children cannot be forced to work like adults. Life became better. Still, sometimes unions were not perfect. Some union leaders took money from rich bosses and stayed quiet. But overall, unions gave workers more power than before. Today, modern capitalism is very different from the old times. Bosses cannot just force people to work 12 hours anymore. In fact, sometimes even the bosses lose money if they don't manage well. Workers now can choose jobs, write applications, and even say no to unfair offers. But people did not stop thinking of new ideas. Some groups started to dream of a life with no government at all. This was called anarchism. They believed everyone should be free, like in a giant community with no leaders. It sounded exciting, but it also had problems. For example, if your village needs a bridge across the river, who will build it? Nobody wants to pay, because everyone thinks, why should I pay for people in another town? Without a government, things like this became very hard. So anarchism stayed as an idea, but it was not easy to practice. And then another idea appeared, individual freedom. This was even more extreme. People said, I decide everything for myself. No one tells me what to do, as long as I don't hurt others. Sounds nice, right? But imagine, the country is attacked. The government calls, everyone, protect the land. Some people say, no, I don't care. I will just move somewhere else. So total freedom could sometimes make a country very weak. After the idea of individual freedom, another strong idea appeared, nationalism. Nationalism means the nation is more important than one person. People must sacrifice their own wishes to protect the country. If the nation is in danger, everyone must fight. If the nation needs resources, people must give them. In nationalism, the group is always bigger than the individual. But some leaders pushed nationalism even further. This became fascism. Fascism says, our country is the best. Our people are higher than other people's. We must show our power with a strong army. In fascism, all power belongs to one leader or one party. Anyone who says no is punished. The government uses violence, control, and war to keep power. Countries like this often try to invade others to grow bigger. So, fascism is linked with dictatorship and war. Next came conservatism. Conservatives are not as extreme as fascists, but they love order and tradition. They believe in discipline, rules, and stability, like a strict father in a family. They don't like fast changes or revolutions. They prefer to say, let's change slowly, little by little. For example, if people want to allow same-sex marriage, conservatives may say, no, marriage must stay between man and woman, just like in the past. If someone wants to open a nightclub in a historic town, conservatives may fight against it, saying, this destroys our culture and traditions. So, conservatism means protecting the old ways, even when the world is moving fast. Finally, we come to socialism. Socialism is like a middle path between capitalism and communism. It tries to give freedom like capitalism, but also fairness like communism. The government helps people with healthcare, education, and social programs. At the same time, people can still own private property and start businesses. In many modern countries today, we see a mix, some capitalist ideas, some socialist ideas, all working together to balance freedom and equality. So, friends, we have traveled together through many political ideas. Absolute monarchy, where kings had all the power. Capitalism that gave freedom but also created unfairness. Communism that promised equality but reduced motivation. Modern capitalism with unions that protected workers. Anarchism with no government, which was hard to practice. Individual freedom where everyone decided for themselves. Nationalism that put the country above the person. Fascism with violence and dictatorship. Conservatism that protected tradition and order. And finally, socialism, a balance between freedom and fairness. Each system had good sides and bad sides. Some gave too much power to one leader, some gave too much to the group, and some tried to find balance. The truth is, no system is perfect. But by learning these ideas, we understand history better. We see why countries act the way they do, and we can think carefully about freedom, fairness, and responsibility. And that's the end of today's story. Dear friends, thank you for joining Chasing English today. If you love learning English, remember, read a little every day, listen carefully, shadow, repeat what you hear, and practice your reflexes when you speak. Step by step, your English will improve. Stories like this are not only fun, but also help you learn real words used in daily life. So keep practicing with us, keep smiling, and keep chasing your dreams through English. Don't forget to follow Chasing English for more easy stories every day. See you soon, my friends.